Welcome to the Armani Talks YouTube channel. I'm your host, Armani Talks. In this channel, I'm covering communication skills in order to help you level up your way with words and become much more articulate. If this is your first time on the channel, welcome aboard. Every Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I'm dropping brand new videos on how you could think on your feet much better, how you could write much more persuasively, and how you can network in a way where you are coming off as an attractive personality that is not scamming other people. Join the tribe by hitting that subscribe button right down below, hit that bell notification, and never miss another video again. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back, and be sure to drop that like for me right on below. In today's episode, I'm going to be talking about how to overcome the monotone voice. Great people have this ability to focus on the macro and the micro, while average people have to choose between the two. Should I focus on the macro or should I focus on the micro? Now, let me give you an example. Let's say there's a guy named Jim. Jim has been in the same role for many years. At this point in his career, he's extremely proficient in his job. He's able to explain to others what he does for a living. But despite being in this role for so long, he has zero understanding the impact that his role has on the entire company. Sure, he's capable of doing the micro level details of the job, but he doesn't understand the bigger picture. While the CEO of the company is only focusing on the bigger picture, and he's lost complete touch of the business processes and doesn't quite understand what the Jims in his company do anymore. Both people are incorrect. To become great, focus on the macro and the micro, and to overcome the monotone voice, focus on the macro and the micro. And that's going to be the purpose of today's talk. In the beginning of this video, you're going to learn the macro essence of the voice, of what makes a powerful, impactful communicator. And around the end of the video, you're going to understand the micro little movements that you can do in order to reprogram your nervous system to have a more melodic voice. If you're ready and excited for today's episode, go on and drop that like for me right on below. The macro, the big picture. What is communication and what makes an impactful communicator? Here's two lines you need to understand. Without lifelong learning, communication skills feels like pushing a car up the mountain. With lifelong learning, communication skills feels like getting in the driver's seat and driving the car up the mountain. Effortless. You ever met one of those people who seem deflated? They seem like one of those deflated balloons where you gotta put some air in them and put them back with life. These people are normally overly pessimistic, overly negative, always complaining, whining about something new, and they're a draining presence to be around. These people may be able to communicate, but for them, it's always going to be an effort. While with other people, it's different. Soon as you're in their presence, you feel a certain type of way. You may be the most technical person out there, but when this person is in your presence, you understand the concept of ambiguous terms like energy and vibe. It's because this person is treating each day like it's new, is consistently learning something new every single day. And in order to be a lifelong learner, it's not simply about memorizing information, it's more so about understanding information. And in order to understand something, you need a double-edged approach. Get information from the external world, that's called book smarts, and get information from the internal world, that's called street smarts. You see that white book in the back? That's my book called Street Smarts, which is currently available on Amazon. And in that book, I talk about how street smarts is not in competition with book smarts. People with true street smarts understands that book smarts are a must, and therefore, they understand to build further street smarts, they learn from others. Through this process of constant lifelong learning, they're able to seamlessly communicate information. And the way that they're communicating information is in a way where they're speaking from the heart. When you're speaking from the heart, you're not necessarily worrying too much about being monotone or not. Instead, you're more compelled regarding the idea. And when you're compelled regarding the idea, you transcend yourself. See, the problem is when you're communicating in a way to show how smart you are. Oh, look at me, man. I got all these credentials. I'm a smart guy. Let me use this interaction to prove to you how smart I am. This is a person who has not gone beyond themselves. While a street smarts communicator, at this point, has been roughed up to a certain extent by the school of hard knocks, and they understand their place in the larger picture of the system. And nowadays, they understand when they're communicating, it's not only about them, it's about them and the kind of impact their ideas can bring. So start communicating like that. Start becoming a lifelong learner. Another part of the macro picture that I'm speaking to is to do more activities which make you feel like the spirit or information, and less activities which make you feel like matter. Activities which make you feel like matter often make you feel small. Constantly drinking a lot of alcohol, waking up in the morning, feeling hungover, masturbating too much, consuming negative content. All these activities make you feel small, physically, mentally, and emotionally. While spirit activities are activities which make you feel limitless. Activities such as reading, activities such as having conversations with empowering people, and here's a cheat code: watching videos back of yourself. Because when you're watching videos back of yourself, what's happening is that you are now perceiving yourself as information, and as soon as you are seeing yourself in 2D rather than 3D, this starts to disrupt the brain, the visual processing centers of the brain, which unlocks a new mode of thinking. When you can see life through 2D rather than 3D alone, what happens is not only do you have more creativity, but you also start to feel more like information, more like spirit, more limitless. And with this sort of understanding, solid communication is a byproduct. You don't have to worry too much about the monotone voice. And another advice that I can give you in order to overcome the monotone voice is to build a better voice through the ears. Let's say you currently do have a monotone voice. Rather than doubling down on that worry of, oh my God, I have such a monotone voice, start using your ears more. Start listening to other people who have voices that you admire. And even listen to the musicality of the people's voices that you do not admire. Because at the end of the day, everyone's voice is a mix between a flute and a violin. So if you can start listening to more voices, and not just hearing, but listening where your mind is present, that's when you start to build your vocal vocabulary. Your ears start to guide you in a different way. It's sort of similar to music, where if a guy who has never heard a song is being asked to play the guitar, sure, he could learn it, but he's going to be behind the person who has been immersed in music in his entire life and can spot good music from bad music. Okay, so start listening with your ears more, and naturally, you'll start to understand when you are being a little too monotoned. So this is a talk on the macro understanding of what it means to be a great communicator. So now let's focus on the micro. How exactly are you going to overcome your monotone voice? In his groundbreaking book, Atomic Habits by James Clear, he talks about the impact that the micro can have on the macro. How making small little changes to your day-to-day life can lead to a tsunami of benefits. And that's why I have a game called the One Word Game, where you start to treat each word with respect. And when you treat each word with respect, you want to breathe life into each word. If you want a more detailed breakdown of how the one word game works, I'll drop a link right on here and in the description box. And if you're watching from the TV, you could just type in Monotone Fix Armani Talks. But don't worry about watching that right now, because here's how the one word game works. You could either give yourself a certain topic that you want to speak on, or you could just read a book out loud. And your main goal is to focus on one word at a time. By simply focusing on one word at a time, the first thing that you're doing is you're starting to understand the role that words have on communication. A part of you, over time, you're going to view words as little people. But what else is happening is that you're completely reconditioning your nervous system to understand that each word has a different kind of musicality. No time ever will you say every single word the same exact way. And now you're bringing awareness to how dynamic your voice is. One problem with monotone people is that they don't think that there's a fix for it. They're like, yo man, I'm just a monotone kind of guy. I was born this way. But no, you could always change it. And once you are focusing on one word at a time, you start to use your ears a little bit more, and you start to notice subtle different changes in each of the words. And if you don't want to focus on a talk where you're giving yourself the ability to use one word at a time, let's say you don't even want to read a book out loud where you're saying one word at a time, just pick one word and say it in multiple different tonalities. Prove to yourself that your voice is a musical instrument. Okay? But here's a quick little disclaimer. Do not just focus on the micro. Because if you're focusing only on the micro and you're just playing the one word game, but you don't have any essence behind you, you're not a lifelong learner, you're only doing activities which make you feel more like matter, you're a judgmental kind of guy, then the micro movements are not going to have as much impact. You're not going to be able to perceive the impact that the one word game can have on the musicality of your voice. But remember, great people focus on the macro and the micro. And by focusing on these two elements, they're starting to unlock a brand new portal towards perceiving the world. Your voice is a musical instrument that is pretty much built inside you, so it's your duty to learn how to play it. The more that you learn how to play it, the more that you will understand that you can use your voice in order to shape people's perceptions, in order to spread powerful ideas, and in order to rewire your own nervous system. So start understanding how to play your voice today. If you want more practical insights like this into communication skills, be sure to check out my free daily newsletter, which drops practical insights like this on the daily. Every single day at 7 p.m., I'm dropping brand new insights on topics such as public speaking, social skills, emotional resilience, and other topics to help you discover the essence of communication. Join the tribe by checking out the link in the description box or the pinned comment right on below, or go on ArmaniTalks.com and sign up today. Thank you very much for joining the Armani Talks YouTube channel, and I will catch you on the next episode.